Cups is a program of the Kauffman Foundation. When we got into this about 6 months ago, there were about 20 cities. I think we're heading to 40 now, maybe greater than that. There are probably 100 or so cities, I gather, all across the world that have applied to do this, so it's going to be growing rapidly. The people who started this here are Sean Kennedy, Daniel Whitelock, and Ruben Pressman, who's over here, and Richard Wood, who is at the mothership of 1 Million Cups in Kansas City. I haven't had enough coffee yet. And I'm John Marr, left hand. So anyway, without further ado, let's bring our first presenter up, Michael Lindermuth, and he's going to talk to us about Pledge Your Bets. Thank you, Michael.
Hello everybody, my name is Michael Lindermuth with Pledge Your Bets, and we amplify your impact. Now, what's the problem that we're trying to solve though? Thank you. We're trying to solve the problem of traditional donor engagement. What that means is basically, usually people are only engaged when they see something on TV, a billboard, or they read a newspaper article about something. They want to donate to that cause. They want to help out. They want to put their money there. Unfortunately, for charities, they're constantly fundraising. They're spending money and time on getting in front of donors. Now, for donors, they feel little impact. They disregard it, so they're disengaged after this advertising campaign. What we do, though, is we gamify giving. We make fundraising as engaging as gaming, betting, or campaigning. We make giving social. We allow people to challenge their friends to betting and voting competitions. We make giving competitive. So you can pledge your bets or votes on an event, for example, like a local golf tournament, a chili cook-off, or the Super Bowl or the Oscars, national events. Now, how does it work? So let's say Sean and I, right? He puts $10 down on golf. We have a global golf tournament. He puts $10 down on golfer A. I put $10 down on golfer B. The trick is he marks his for the Humane Society. I mark mine for the ASPCA. If he wins, my $10 plus his $10 goes straight to Humane Society, and he effectively doubles his donation to the charity of his choice. So the odds, but the trick is that it's not just between him and I, though. This entire room can be in a big pool, putting their donations, their bets on the Oscars or the Super Bowl. And the odds will automatically adjust as people bet on something. The other thing is we have voting on our platform. We've added this now. And the way that this works is, let's say you have a chili cook-off, right? You have the first round of voting before and during the competition, and then you get the top 3 people after the competition go back and fundraise. Now you have people engaged because they have their money on these votes beforehand. And why is this engaging? Well, it's a game. Because the creator of Civilization, Sid Meier, the video game, says that it basically outlines a game as a series of meaningful choices. And when you have money riding on something, that's a meaningful choice. Now, we make giving rewarding. So we allow the winners take all. The winners take all the money in the pool and they divvy it up to their individual charities. Nothing goes back to the donors. We handle the money. Losers receive tax deductions, though. So do winners on everything that you risk. So if you put that $10 up, you can claim a tax deduction on that. Because at the end of your bet, it's always going to go back to a 501c3 charity. And hopefully, they have an itch to return for the win. So they want to come back. They want to re-engage. And the charity doesn't have to do anything to get them back to donate. Lastly, we make giving continuously engaging. So let's say we're going to track points. We're going to give you badges. We're going to give you awards for what you're doing. And we're going to allow you to compare yourself against your friends on both a lifelong scale, a monthly scale, weekly scale. And then lastly, we're going to make you allow you to trash talk. If you ever played fantasy football, those message boards are lit up with people trying to challenge each other and just get people engaged. So what we create here is a cycle of engagement. The charity only has to get them on here. We'll keep them engaged, keep them donating, keep them giving, and identifying with their own charities. Now, what's our market? Our market really is $143.6 billion in giving annually. And initially, we're going to be targeting Gen X and Gen Y. These are people that are really only giving $10 to charity. Small donations is really what we're looking at, but we're trying to make them more frequent. Who are they? Well, young donors, 75% of them engage with charities online already. That's their communication channels. That's where they give. But they're turned off by charity asks. So if a charity asks you, hey, give us $75, give us $25 for this campaign, those are rarely ever successful. What is successful, though, are peer-to-peer asks. So if somebody asks you to go, hey, I'm going to do a breast cancer walk. Can you help fundraise for me for this breast cancer awareness walk? You're going to give to your friend because it's your friend asking you, not the individual charity. We are a peer-to-peer platform as well. But your friend's asking you to come on and engage in a challenge on betting or voting on something. Now, Gen Y and Gen X are significantly more comfortable with asking as well. I mean, God, how many times do you see that in your Twitter feed or your Facebook feed, somebody asking you to give to their breast cancer awareness walk or their Wounded Warrior walk? Right now, our initial target market are charities. We're trying to get charities on board. We've already got the American Cancer Society and the Sierra Club. We're about 2 months in. We're in discussions right now with Wounded Warrior. We met them at Wandsworth, by the way. If you go to Wandsworth, well worth going. And the last thing is our Greek organizations and social clubs. These are already competitive organizations with one another. So let's say a Greek organization is going to play a volleyball game. They're one fraternity against another fraternity. These two fraternities can basically have people go online beforehand and bet on who they think is going to win. Not just people in the fraternity, but people, alumni across the country. So they can draw everybody into this betting pool. Now, who's our competition? There's already one called Charity Bets, which is a good name, I think. The way it works, though, is it's only for individual runners. So if you are running a marathon, people can bet the over-under on you, and if they pick incorrectly, that money goes to your charity. So you as the runner, always select the charity. People giving up the money cannot select the charity themselves. CrowdRise, this is more like a breast cancer awareness walk. They just kind of allow you to have a one-stop shop for your team in a breast cancer walk. And then Charity Miles allows people to individually fundraise and kind of track their progress. Lastly, we take 10% of funds deposited for pledging, so that's how we make money. So when you put money in your account, you put $10 in, we charge you $11, we have $1, and you have $10 to pledge on the platform. Charities receive 100% of the donations after they play. And our other revenue model in the future is we believe we're going to have very valuable analytics for these charities. So we are going to provide age and gender demographics, which we already have, who they're betting on, how much they're betting, how much they're fundraising, and who their friends are fundraising for. So you can know, all right, I may have an intersection with this other charity over here, maybe we should do an event together. It's a little bit about us, but I'm almost out of time, so I'm going to run back here. My background is in computer science, and this whole thing is pleasure event stuff. I'm ready to take your questions.
How do you get into promoting a charity? Or do these people come to the charities and find out, right?
So the charities will usually host an event, is our idea. So what we want to do is have a charity that's doing like a battle of the bands, for example, bring their donors on and have them vote on who they think is going to be the best band, right? So charities promote it. They get their donors on here. And then afterwards, their donors can be re-engaged by betting on the Oscars or the Super Bowl against other national donors in pools. Does that make sense?
The reason I ask is I'm on the board of a nonprofit. I'll talk about it.
Yeah, no, definitely. And it's completely free for you to post events. We don't charge you anything. We make our money off the donors. So, yes.
What stage are you guys at right now? Is this up and running? Do you have any people using it?
We are up and running. So we have an MVP right now online. You go to pledgeyourbets.com. We are trying to get our first event. So we launched that last year, had the law change in April, had a retool, rework it, and then we started talking to charities again and found out that voting was a big deal because you want to keep everything in-house. If you're throwing an event, you don't want that money to go to a different charity, right? So voting is a kind of a competitive way to get everything in the same pool of money and give it to the same charity again. Yeah, so we are up. Yes.
You just mentioned the law change. What are your potential legal obstacles?
Nothing right now. Nothing goes back to the donor. So we have a nationwide payment processor and balance payments. They handle our escrow account. And they are completely fine with it as long as nothing goes back to you. As long as we handle the money, once you give that $10, it's gone. There's no benefit directly to you after that. We are not in violation of the Wire Act. We've looked at that already. We've actually investigated it with Mark Dunbar up in Tallahassee about different gaming laws in Florida. So we have no legal issues in Florida. The only thing we could have is maybe a state. So an individual state may have a law against us, so we're trying to limit ourselves to Florida right now. But we're good across borders too.
Is that because of the betting aspect of it?
Yes, but it's not really betting. I mean, it's giving a donation already. So you put money in your account, we never give that back to you. Like if you put $10 in your account, that's going to go to a 501c3. We just say betting because it's an engaging word. Yes.
Do you have any old hands in nonprofits that are on your advisory board?
We don't. We need advice. We need one of those. Yeah. Why are you on it?
I just know, having watched the decline of direct mail over decades, I just know that there's a lot of guys out there looking for a better way with the digital revolution. And so I got to think, but we want somebody who knows the ins and outs of
I agree.
maybe started a couple of nonprofits.
Yeah.
That would be ideal.
We were hiring a sales guy who's on the board of a couple of nonprofits who runs events up in Tampa right now. He wanted to do a sales role though. He's more of a younger guy. But I agree, that maybe would be a cheaper way for us to do it.
Especially somebody who's volunteer. And money.
Yeah. We'll start with you. So if anybody out there, let us know. Yeah.
What's your revenue stream and how many global users do you have to date on the site, like registered up?
So we just started. We have our friends and family really on there right now playing. We're trying to go after our first couple of charities. We have a call with New Warrior Friday. And what was your second question? Sorry.
How does your revenue stream work?
Our revenue stream. So we take 10% of the money put on your account. So we have a Pledge Your Bets account, and you put $10 down minimum into that account. We charge you $11, for example, right? So we charge you 10% on that $10 you want to play with. That's our revenue stream initially.
So 10%?
10%, yes.
Across the top?
Right off the top, yeah. So we take 10% off the top. That covers our payment processor fees, and we take that money and we can use it for our own operations. Yeah.
And then I just had one more comment, and that is there's a wonderful nonprofit that's represented here called Creative Clay, and Kim Dorman, raise your hand, she's the executive director. They have an event called Folk Fest
Okay.
every fall with 20 plus bands in a free outdoor concert. That would probably be a good fit for you guys to talk about afterwards.
You voted for that, by the way. Just want to say, $1 per vote on our platform.
Your 10% overhead that you charge, how does that compare with other charity aggregators?
So right now we want to start a little bit high because we aren't Kickstarter at this point. Kickstarter is 5%. CrowdRise is about I think 7. It just depends on how much you put in. But they have a large volume of users right now. When we get that large volume, we want to ratchet that down. We just don't want to ratchet it up ever. So we want to start at a 10% fee right now, and we want to ratchet it down. So we're in the ballpark. We are high right now, but we're going to ratchet that down as we get more users.
How does it compare to traditional aggregators?
Oh, so Police Athletic League, traditional fundraisers, they take 40–50%. We actually spoke to the Red Cross of Sarasota when we first started out on this idea. We told them 10%, and they said, that's nothing. They said that's way cheaper than anything that we paid for individually. I mean, any brick and mortar fundraiser, or if somebody's calling you on the phone, they're taking a large percentage of their cut. We want to scale with volume. Is really how we want to build it. And we make our fees up front too. We thought about taking like part of the pool at the end, but I mean that would take away from the amount of money that you're playing with and winning, and they'd make calculations every place at the end. You wouldn't really know how much that $20 you won is actually going to that charity. With our platform, every dollar, that $20 you win is going directly to that charity. We just take it in the front. We just take it in the front end. Yeah.
If I understand this right, for a charity to participate, they have to give you their donuts.
No, not necessarily. No, not at all. For you to participate, all we have to do is you set up an account with us, post your event on our platform, and you can send out stuff to your donor. You can send out information to your donor list. You can say, hey, go bet on this challenge, or go vote on this event beforehand and during. It's after is even more engaging because people are going to have money on their votes already. So they're going to want it. If they're in the top 3, they're going to want their friends to come in and help them create a fundraising plan. Yeah.
When will you have an idea about all 50 states, which ones can operate? in and which ones not?
As we grow, this is really expensive to get those letters.
Sure.
So we paid a lot of money for the one in Florida. And that was with the old model, so we basically, we were even more safe than we were before.
You said it's a lot of money for what?
To get a legal opinion.
Okay,
Yeah, I mean, it's very expensive.
sure.
Yeah, we are legal across, the big thing was we were worried about the Wire Act, and we are legal according to the Wire Act.
So that's the same.
Like,
as-
I can't call you when you're in Vegas and say, hey, go put this bet on this horse, or on this Super Bowl for me. I can't, literally, like, legally, we can't do that. You can't have somebody bet, like, proxy bet for you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Go back and do a fast run through of the founders and how much time, your team, and how much time you guys can spend on this.
Yeah. So I'm Michael Manu. I'm a graduate student at Computer Science at USF. I also work at USF College of Marine Science right down the road. I spend, I take a day off of work every day, so let's say every week.
Freudian slip.
So, once a week I take a day off work, and then I also work after hours a lot. So I'll get home at 6 and work another 8 hours probably. 5 hours, yeah. So it's miserable. My partner is Ken Platt. He's the business operations side of things. He kind of just takes the weight off of me. If I have something I need to just, here, go do the taxes, go do some accounting, go try and, beat bushes and try to find some charities. He's also a designer, so a lot of the site design that you see, that was kind of his work. He designed our logo and everything too. So we have complementary skill sets in that end. I'm no way a designer, and I don't have the business experience that he has. That's who we are. Any questions about our background? Anybody else? Yeah.
How did you get the idea?
So I was on Reddit and I saw a guy, this was 2 years ago, post on there, hey, I'll give $100 to the top upvoted charity on here if Tim Tebow, when he was with the Denver Broncos, beats my Jets, right? And so everybody's upvoting on this. Somebody even matched the bet on the other side, say, hey, I'll give $100 to your favorite charity if you win. And the top upvoted charity, though, funny enough, ended up becoming the Tim Tebow Foundation. And he lost the bet. So he gave $100 to the Tim Tebow Foundation at the end, and he ended up posting, hey, this isn't so bad, they do a lot of good work, and it raised awareness to the Tim Tebow Foundation. This guy, ended up giving $100 to charity, and I think the other guy actually ended up giving it to the Tim Tebow Foundation also. It's kind of a funny thing. Yeah.
What would it cost to go national?
To go national? Oh, so are you talking about each state?
Yeah.
Okay, so we're about, say about $5,000 a state.
Okay.
Yeah. That's what we're looking at. 5,000 state, yeah. We could operate right now and just wait till we get slapped in the hand by the state, just mark them off. That's one way to do it
Well,
too.
that could cost more than $5,000.
Yeah, that too. Yeah. So we have that limitation. Yeah.
So talk a little bit more about the way you approach a nonprofit, because if I understand correctly, you're not seeking an account that would be a charge for them. It's really a service for them. You're again making the money from the user.
Yeah.
But you need the nonprofit to engage and believe in what you're doing so they can host events, correct?
Yes.
So talk a little bit about your approach to nonprofits.
Okay, so we're trying to bring nonprofits on board and say, hey, can we augment your event? Can we make your event better? Can we add an online platform to your event? When we also approach them saying, hey, look, we may be able to get you a new audience also. We may be able to bring you into something like fraternities and sororities. They're notoriously difficult to engage with. They're notoriously difficult to stay in contact with. So if we can make it easier for them to fundraise for you, then that's kind of how we talk to them. We're not trying to take your donor rates. We're not trying to take that $1,000 check away from you. We're trying to get smaller donors to donate more frequently. Yeah.
So your target, you've mentioned a couple of times fraternities and sororities. Is that kind of your target?
Yes.
18 to 22-years-olds?
18 to 34, so including social clubs,
Okay.
alumni organizations, stuff like that.
So doing this on Twitter is probably important.
Yes. We have all those social sharing buttons everywhere too.
Okay.
So when you see a challenge, you bet, or you pledge a bet, you can share that you bet on this challenge for this outcome.
Which goes national.
Yeah. But we can limit it by ideas.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
first and say, hey, what charities are you engaged with? Okay, well, we'll go after them. And we had the opposite way happen too. I mean, that's why Gloria was interested in us, because they want to have a campus presence. And so we're saying, hey, we should go to USF, UCF, and start talking to them and get them engaged for you. So it's both ways. Yeah.
When you talk about it being $5,000 per state to continue to expand and grow, what about your personnel resources? At what point would you have to increase?
For that, we would basically have just commissioned employees. So if we would have a state, we're talking through a commission sales rep for Florida really right now. For other states, we would just commission them as well. So based on how much they fundraise for the individual events, for their charities, how much their users pull in, we would give you commission based off that. So really, that's not anything off of our, that's not money that we have to put up front. We do that based on how much they fundraise.
So your back end's completely set up that it can handle?
Oh yeah. So we're built with Python. We're built on Heroku with PostgreSQL backend database, and we can spin up very quickly. We can spin down very fast as well. So we are completely scalable nationwide. Are you?
You mentioned a couple of times that the goal is to get small donors to donate more frequently, but I can't tell if I'm misunderstanding it. From your presentation, it sounded like that you're trying to get small donors to leverage other donors to bring in, an aggregate, the actual donations.
It's both.
Significant.
It's both, because if that small donor feels like they're doing a bit more, they're amplifying their impact on our platform, they're more likely to re-engage and come back.
Right.
That's kind of what we're doing. So we're trying to get that cycle.
Right. But the fact that they're challenging 10 of their buddies or whatever, that actually brings
Yeah.
a larger donation also.
Yeah, and even with the law large numbers too, if people keep betting, it may all tend to the averages. So it may all end up going to charities like it would anyway. I mean,
Oh, okay, I see what you mean.
yeah. Yeah.
I just want you to think about your fee structure. If this thing, the engagement gets to the point, Dan and I get competitive here, and we start going $1,000 or whatever. I'm not sure how we're going to feel about you taking 10% of that when it's clear your dollar on the $10. I guess you think that's going to cover your operating costs, right?
Yeah.
But if this thing scales up, I'm not quite sure how we're going to feel about you taking 10% off those bigger checks. So I just want you to think about that.
Okay.
I hate to see that become a disincentive for a larger donor.
Yeah, and we thought of that too. I mean, you only tax things that you want less of, really. That's why there's a tax in place on cigarettes and stuff like that. Effectively, the 10% is a tax, so we have to be careful about that, I agree. But charities also want your fees up front, they want your fee structure up front. And we may do that, we may have it lower for higher numbers. Thank you for the thought. I mean, it's definitely something worth thinking about. So we may lower it to $1,000.
Your costs are per transaction.
Exactly.
Yeah, they are.
And so I guess he's.
We could lower it.
Towards the direction of maybe more of a transactional fee than a percent.
Right.
Oh, I see what you're saying. $1 per transaction instead of 10%.
It's going to cost you the same whether I donate $10,000 or I donate $10, right?
Okay.
It's an interesting idea.
Okay.
It makes larger donations more.
Yeah.
Have you ever thought of like a business-to-business approach to like businesses that are primarily like sales organizations that would have like sales quotas or goals for the end of the month to hit, maybe challenge that against the consumer?
Yes. That was another, when we were at OneSpark, there were some companies that were talking about that with HR departments. So you may actually have companies compete against each other on the platform. So you can also have teams on here, and we rank teams. So you can make a team for your company or your Greek fraternity or whatever.
No, but I'm saying, are you actively selling?
We aren't doing it right now. No.
But I'm just curious.
Yeah, no, we haven't. We've just heard about that route. We just figured that route out recently. Because companies do fundraise individually, for sure.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and that would be a good way for them to engage their employees and kind of.
Well, for example, like for me, I work with the automotive dealerships, right?
Yeah.
So some of them spend $250,000 a month on marketing, right? So it's like you can put together a campaign, right? You have them promote it through the newspaper that they're running a better